Hi guys, it's Nicole, and today I have a double page layout process video for you. This is I want to say it was a class. I'm pretty sure it's a Allison Davis run Facebook class for one of the sketch bundles. I spent like 15 minutes before I started editing my video trying to find the link because typically they will still sell the sketch bundle. I can't find it in the shop, and when I go through the link that I had shared in my Facebook group last year when a bunch of us were signing up for the class, that link no longer works. So I'm not sure if this was like a one and done bundle, but I have been chiseling away at it probably for a year at this point. The one that I'm using is sketch number 7 or week number 7, and it's basically 10 double page sketches where all of the photos are 4x6 photos. So I used a couple of these in my Creating with Collections Volume 4, and I've also done a couple layouts from our zoo trip with these sketches as well. So the editing on this is going to be a little choppy. I was video chatting this day, so I ended up just kind of cutting out a lot of like me chatting and then a lot of repetitive stuff. So I pulled out this pattern paper from Simple Stories. It's, I don't know, probably a year or two old. It's I don't even remember what it's called, but it's their like jungle zoo line. This is the one that I kind of keep pulling out when I pull out all of my kind of animal themed products. And one of the sheets has like blank tags printed on one side and then like decorated tags on the other. I just kind of kept gravitating towards those blank ones. And originally when I looked at week 7 and I saw all the banners, I was like, okay, that's okay. And then there's a bunch of like floral icons, which I think are absolutely gorgeous, but I wanted to do something different. And originally I thought I was going to die cut a bunch of different like zoo animals and leaves and tuck them in. I am very much, for some reason in the month of January, just kind of on a lazy kick. And I'm also looking at products a little bit differently, especially when I'm pulling them out and I'm just constantly digging through stuff. And I'm like, there is so much stuff. And the sticker book and sticker sheets specifically. So I was like, you know what? Instead of die cutting a bunch of little tiny fiddly pieces, I wanted to use as many of the like stickers and die cut pieces as I possibly could. So I'm going to swap out all the little florals and not necessarily make a scene, but I am just going to load up the like upper and lower border with as many animals as I think I can. Now, when I was originally thinking about this, it didn't occur to me that animals is an icon where the direction matters. So I kind of realized that at some point that I'm going to have to get a little creative with the bottom border because I don't want to have upside down animals and I don't want to just have like a bunch of feet hanging down, I guess, and I don't want them to look like they're floating either. This I think is the point where I'm like, oh shoot, hold on. So that is kind of something that I'm like, okay, let's get the basic stuff down and then we can sort of problem solve that in a little bit. Now, it's been a while since I've done like inking the edges of stuff. I tend to want to ink the edges when I feel like there needs to be a delineation between the papers where they kind of start to feel like they're getting lost to me. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see it on your end, but on my like editing window, all those tags look like they're just blank white paper, but they're actually like lightly printed with like ledger or grid, like a very faint pattern to them. So to me, when they were lined up side by side like that, they were starting to get lost. So I went ahead and blended just some brown distress ink on the sides. I did go ahead and cut a hole in the top of all of the tags. I wanted them to feel a little bit less flat, a little bit more interesting. And then I pulled out some twine and some of them I tied knots on. Some of them I just kind of looped over and over and over again. Some of them I tied a bow. not really like rhyme or reason or pattern to it. I just wanted to bring in some interest that's not super flat. Most of my photos, while they are printed on 4x6s, there are 5 to, I want to say, 7 or 8 photos on each one. This to me was a perfect solution to sort of combine all of these random photos of the different animals that we saw at the San Diego Zoo. I just made sure to grab the ones that were from the zoo and not the safari park because we went to each location on a different day. So originally, I think when I thought about documenting this trip, I thought I would kind of go in order of what we saw and pull up like information about the animals. In the end, I'm kind of in this mindset of I would rather just have it done and maybe be a little bit less interesting and a little bit less informative. So kind of just changed directions on what I was doing. While this is a lot of photos, I think combining it with a sketch that's got a lot of different elements going on with like the tags and a whole bunch of embellishments, for me it works. I think this could be too busy for some people, but again, personal preference is sort of the name of the game when it comes to crafting. So kind of, do what you like. This is when I'm starting to think about how I'm going to work the bottom border. So at this point, I just was like, okay, are there any animals that are sort of intended to hang? So I ended up pulling, I think it was like the sloths and the monkeys and that big banner sticker. And the bottom row is ultimately not going to be like a full edge to edge border of interesting icons and elements. I'm going to choose to break it up and leave some open space and kind of drop my title into that area as well and just change it up a little bit for what is going to work for me. And I like to try to get as much out of supplies as I can, but then again, there's also projects like this where it's sort of just fun to use up as many things as you possibly can in a way that makes sense. So I think normally I probably wouldn't sit here and use 30 stickers on one layout, but for me, this worked and it didn't completely deplete the stickers for this collection. Like I still have a ton of stickers in the sticker book. I still have most of the stickers from the 12x12 sheet. Like it's one of those things where after doing creating with collections 3 or 4 rounds, I've got a better sense of just how much product is in these collection packs. So I try to use, I don't want to say like freely, but yeah, like I try to use as much as I possibly can and still have it not feel chaotic and not feel excessive and still somehow find some sort of a balance. And so for me, it's going to be things like maybe scene building or choosing to swap out like a row of flowers or a row of hearts that's depicted on a sketch for, in this case, just a row of animals and different zoo icons. And I did try to stick to, I think it was the 6x8 sticker sheet. These stickers are a lot thinner. They're more of a paper material, so they don't have like the shiny cardstock weight like the 12x12 sticker sheets do. And I felt like they mixed in with the die cuts a little bit better, but then I still did pull things like the truck was from the more glossy set of stickers and like the banner. I tend to just go with what I like, what I feel is going to work with. And I also try to keep in mind what am I leaving behind for future me and the rest of this trip. So again, I try not to use up every possible thing in there because I know I've got more pages to do. So I want to make sure that I've still got some stuff left that's not boring or the things that I don't necessarily like. This one was a little bit easier to do that because a lot of the animals were like this, the exact same sticker in the sticker book and the sticker sheet, just different paper materials, even facing the same direction and the same size. I kind of wish some of these animals were flipped the other way. Like as I was building it, I was like, why are they all looking to the left? Like what's going on the left that everybody's looking over there? Everybody's facing that way. None of you guys are facing the right. I think maybe the elephant was facing to the right, but I ended up, again, this kind of goes back to me looking at what I had as far as the photos and stuff. I think I had decided that I had enough photos for the like elephant section that I was like, you know what, I can probably just do a single page on the elephants alone because there was babies and we spent so much time there. And then elephants were also part of the safari park. So I didn't choose any photos of the elephants, and I didn't choose any of like the embellishments as well. Or no, wait, I lied. There's a photo of an elephant right there. So he must have been the one that was part of the bus tour. A lot of these were photos that I took during the bus tour, and a couple of like the smaller areas that we walked through. So at this point, I'm feeling okay with kind of the level of embellishments. I decided I wanted to try to use some phrase stickers if I could, just because I noticed I wasn't really using them at all to this point. I did choose to tuck them in. A couple of them I matched like in a tone-on-tone capacity. This one I didn't, mostly just because it was the wrong color. I do look at what the phrase sticker says, and if it's just completely weird or not on theme, I don't use it. I know that there are so many people that I watch that they can just sort of grab and go with so many different things, and I kind of get hung up on, well, if the phrase doesn't go with my photos. And again, that goes back to personal preference, and it's just one of those things where we all do what we like, we all pick different things, and I think that's the fun part of sharing and watching process videos, is because you can have the same set of materials as somebody and go on two completely different sort of adventures with those products. I did want to have a little bit of delineation going on between my photos and all of the embellishments, so I just grabbed some wood grain cardstock pattern paper from my stash, and I cut a bunch of 1/4-inch strips, and then I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive to go ahead and attach this. I think normally I prefer a liquid glue for this, but this was one of those things where there was just so much stuff going on that I didn't want to mess anything up with a liquid, so went ahead and pulled out my double-sided adhesive, and it definitely goes a little quicker. You just want to make sure that you kind of burnish it on with something like a bone folder or your fingernail or something, and make sure that it's like really stuck on there. And again, when you go to put it on your project, you want to make sure that you really get it on there. That bottom row, again, I wasn't really thinking when I put my sloth down there, and I was like, shoot, he's got to be on top of this, otherwise he's going to look weird. And then because he's that thinner sticker material, I cannot peel him off of those photos. When you print photos at home, you know that they're just a little bit more tacky than what you get when you send them out to print. So I just made do by pulling him up and running the border underneath him, and he's kind of hanging out a little bit closer in the foreground in a sense. Now for my title, I just kind of went through the sticker sheets and looked at the different phrases and stuff and decided to go with where the wild things are. When I do a long title like that, I like to mix fonts and colors and sizes. So I'm going to do the words wild and things with the lawn fawn alphabet. I believe it's called Henry's alphabet. It's still available. I'll link it. This is one of those ones that I just keep pulling out over and over and over again. I think it's just a really good, not even like a basic alphabet, like it works for so many different things. I think it leans a little bit more fun. And then I like to pair like a more fun font with something that's a little bit more classic or a little bit more structured. So I'm going to use this typewriter font. This is from the Scrapbook.com branded alphabet dies that you guys know I absolutely love. These things go on sale all the time. The bundles are actually a deeper discount. So I think this one I got where it was a bundle of 3 different fonts and the discount was a lot higher. And this is another one of those ones that I kind of keep going back to because it just pairs with so many things. Both of these fonts I used on a previous video of my son's 5th grade graduation. This was the same 2 fonts, just different pattern papers to kind of make them look different. The typewriter one, I went ahead and die cut it with some of my favorite things like linen texture pattern paper. It's similar to the Doodlebug Petite Prints, which is one of my like favorite tone-on-tone patterns. So I went ahead and picked up the 6x6 for my favorite things, and it's just all linen pattern in rainbow colors, and I absolutely love it. For the wild things, I pulled the pattern paper from that Simple Stories line and just tried to find one that was a tone-on-tone pattern, but when I'm cutting titles out of pattern paper, I really try to think about what this is going to look like once you cut it smaller. So something like a couple of the tags have a light green and dark green polka dot, but the polka dots are very large and they're spread out. And I think if I had tried to cut those with an alphabet, you wouldn't get a whole lot of the polka dots and you wouldn't really get an overall picture of that pattern. So I try not to pick things like that. I try to pick what would be considered like a small print pattern. And then I try to pick something that's going to contrast color-wise with the area that I'm putting it near. So I don't want green because it's going to go on green. I don't want brown because I've already used brown for the other part of the title. So I could have gone with like pink or yellow or orange, and I settled on the orange. Now, I am really liking using a sticky mat to do my die cut stacking and then kind of test alignment. The sticky mat has grid lines on it, so it's easier for me to line it up on there, and then the mat is clear so I can move it around my layout and really get a sense of where it's going to be. And then I like to use a strip of washi tape across the word, or words in this case, flip it over, put glue on the back of everything, and then bring it over as one sort of connected piece. I'm just making sure that the washi tape is not touching my photos because again, I print from home, and so they're going to be tacky, and anything adhesive that touches them is going to ruin my photos. So I have made sure to keep the washi tape from touching them. And I do leave the washi tape on for a little bit. It kind of helps them stay down while they're drying. I also will grab like my Misty acrylic blocks, my phone, anything that's got just like a little bit of weight to it, a border punch, all kinds of different things work. I will set that on there while they dry and I'm putting things away. And then when I come back and peel up the washi tape, everything typically at that point is dry, secure, good to go. And then even though I've pretty much done all the embellishments and stuff, this is the point where I start looking for places that feel like they're missing something, they're open, maybe something needs a pop of a specific color. So I go back through and I kind of start looking more focused through stuff, and I'm really just kind of looking for smaller things that I can tuck here and there. In this instance, I found a label sticker, I found some tiny florals, I found a little bit bigger of a floral in the die cut pack, and I'm going to end up putting that with the sloth down by my title. And there is my completed layout. I have to check because there's 10 sketches in this bundle. At this point, I'm either done or I have one more that I need to do, and it's sitting sort of in my prepped and ready shelf. So when I finish all 10 of these, I will do like a layout share and a recap, and you guys can see them all together. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. And again, I appreciate you guys spending some time with me, and I will catch you in the comments down below.